Hello everybody, Epic Mewtwo here. Today we are back with another Dokkan battle video, but a different kind of Dokkan battle video today. If you are not aware, I am the one who runs the account Dokkan Assets on Twitter, posting all of these amazing assets that Dokkan has to offer, and I've really wanted to find a way to integrate this content that I make, or well, I guess not that I make, but the content that I post on Dokkan Assets. What I meant to say was the content that I make on here on my YouTube channel, and kind of find a way to combine the two. So I have a couple of ideas for some stuff that I think is going to work, and this is one of them. So we'll see how it goes. I do apologize as well if you can hear the fan in the back. That's so that it's a little bit louder over there, so that my mom can't hear me recording because she's trying to sleep. Anyway, I know that sounded like that sounded like such a little kid thing to say. I'm trying to hide under my covers with my Nintendo DS Lite, so to make sure the light doesn't get out. Anyway, what we're going to be doing today is we are going to be rebuilding some assets. So first of all, we're going to be taking a look at some assets from the brand new LR Rose. Now, here's what I mean by rebuilding the assets. I will kind of explain what I have all these here labeled as, but you saw a little preview when I first popped in, right? Dokkan, the way that they do the assets, right, is that they have pieces that are completely put together, right? For example, and we'll look at the rest of this, right, like this. This is an example of a asset sheet from the Super Attack assets, right? And sometimes in the Super Attacks, right, there really needs to only be an image because they're just moving the image like that, right? For example, this Rose Goku Black. But in the images that we're going to be taking a look at today, these are all moving pieces, and pieces that are not one piece. So what I've done is I've taken some screenshots from the Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black Super Attacks, a bunch of different pieces from each one, just from the Super Attacks on Twitter, and I decided I wanted to try and recreate these specific renders, right, of these specific instances of Rose Goku Black, because in the SA assets, they are a bunch of different pieces. Now, I've already gone through the trouble of picking out the asset sheets that I believe should have all of the pieces that we need, so we're going to go through and open them. Honestly, if I were to show you that process of meticulously looking back at the image and then looking at all the asset sheets to try and find all of the pieces that I was looking for, that could be its whole like it's all a video is what I'm trying to say. It could all be its own video. So I didn't want to do that because I feel like that would be boring and it'd literally just be me staring at the screen. So I went through the liberty of getting all of the pieces already, and what we're going to attempt to do here is recreate Rose, essentially. Here, right, we're going to attempt to recreate this image. We have three different things that we're going to try and do today. We'll see how we go. We have one that's going to be relatively easy, at least I'm kind of anticipating it, with this one right here, because there's not a lot of pieces. I have one that's sort of a medium difficulty, which will be this picture of Rose right here, where he has the scythe in his hand. And then I also have a image of Rose that I believe is going to be a little bit more hard to do, simply because, well, there's a lot of different pieces that go into making this specific mishmash of assets, right? So we're going to try and go through these. We're going to do the easy one and move on up. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I don't know if I don't know how this is gonna go. Again, I'm sort of just trying this out because this is something that I really enjoy, and I've done this before a little bit, but I have wanted to try and get a little bit better at it, sort of rebuilding the assets title drop with the Dokkan assets, right? Because a lot of the really cool pieces in the Super Attack are in multiple different pieces, and unless someone takes the time to go through them and put them back together, we're never going to really get these renders unless you're trying to go through the trouble of photoshopping this, and getting a decent enough image that isn't from your phone, right, is already hard enough. So since we have the raw assets, it should be pretty good. So We're going to use Photoshop for this. That's what we're in right now. I think we're just going to use a 1080p picture because that's simply what this is right here, right? Because this is just a screenshot of my computer that I took. And we're just going to make this on a new layer. We will have Rose right here. In the background, we'll kind of keep them off to the side so that we can compare the one that we're going to do. But we're going to keep this fresh slate here. I might meme around and like have this over here as we're like working on another canvas over here, something like that. I don't know. We'll see how I do with the setup. But I am going to speed this part up of a little bit of the building. I might do some parts where I pause and then talk in between as I'm going through this process, but literally if I'm just sitting here focused, you know, putting all the pieces together, it's not really going to be that interesting because it's just me picking apart all of the pieces, right? Before we do go into speed mode, I did want to show something real quick. I did want to explain how this part works because this is something that we're going to be doing a lot in this. Obviously, these come in asset sheets, right, where we have all of the different pieces together on these different images, right? They're kind of just separate images all on one page, and then Dokkan takes the little pieces and puts them together for the animation. But I did want to show you real quick just the process of doing this. It's pretty simple. There might actually be a better way of doing this, but the best way that I found if I'm trying to crop a specific piece is to simply use, I believe this is the select tool, and just make a square around here, right? Because if we hit delete right now, it's going to delete Rose's head. But if we simply do select inverse, it's going to delete everything else in the image. Now, I don't want to do that all the time though. I do like to make a new layer just in case, because then that way I can keep the old layer for safekeeping, and then in case I need those other things, you know, I can still get them back. Not like I couldn't just pull up the image again, but then they're there. So I just want to explain how that works. Now I'm going to take all the different pieces, I'm going to move them into our main canvas, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I now have all of the pieces here except for one. I actually forgot to grab Rose's hand for this hand right here. This one is just connected in the back, but his arm is in multiple pieces, so we're gonna have to go find that, and then I'll bring it back here, and then we'll have the hand. Okay, so I realized why I couldn't find his hand. It's because it's on this sheet, and it's super small in the corner here, and I didn't even notice it the first time. I guess I just didn't think about the fact that I would have to grab the extra hand when I was initially grabbing the pieces to this. That will probably occasionally happen because, again, remember, I'm sort of just basically eyeballing this, right, for what pieces that we need, and just kind of looking at the image and then looking through all of the different pieces of this to try and see if I can find everything that we need. This does look correct, however. If we flip it this way, I think that definitely looks about right. So what I've done now is that we have all of our pieces here as different layers, right? Everything, all of those sheets, right, that we just took everything from, I've minimized, so they're now out of my workspace. This is kind of how I like to work in Photoshop. Just sort of a personal thing. I know everybody has a preference on how they like to work with this. But anyway, those are going to remain down there because we don't really need them, but it is nice to have them just in case we need to kind of take a look at them. So now we have all the pieces here, right? We kind of had a general idea of how this is going to look. Obviously, this one is a little bit easier than some of the other ones because it's just the head being put onto the body, which honestly looks kind of cursed. We have some arms that need to be built here, a little bit of hand action going on, and honestly, that should be it for the most part. I think this should be a pretty easy rebuild. But I guess we will see as we go ahead and go through it here. I'm hoping that this looks good because I will admit the one thing that I am a little bit worried about is how it's going to be size-wise, because clearly some of these assets are enlarged during the SA. Like if we simply flip Rose's head counterclockwise 90 degrees, right, and fit it on here, clearly that doesn't fit on the body. So they're just enlarging the asset during the SA, and I think I definitely want to keep the body the same size that it is. So we're going to have to make this arm piece a little bit smaller here. We're going to have to make these a little bit bigger, and we're definitely going to have to change the hand side. We'll see how things kind of fit in here. It should look pretty good though, I think, by the time that we're done here. So fingers crossed on that. I'm going to get to work on putting this together, and we're going to speed it up. Okay, so we have the head done now. It's really hard because I could just try and line it up with the body. We might actually try and do that. I could just try and line this up with the body and then see if I can get it, but I don't think that the body is the... Yeah, it's not the exact same... Maybe it is the exact same size as this. Again, at the moment I'm just trying to eyeball it. I am very much a novice at this. I'm sort of just trying my best to recreate this here. The goal of this series as well, I know this is kind of a little bit weird to say midway through the video, but the goal of this series as well, why didn't I think of this before? This is actually really easy because then I can just kind of do that. The goal of this series as well is also for me to get better at this. So these beginning renders might not look the best, but the goal is for me to... Ooh, okay, that looks pretty good. So we'll just kind of use the size comparison accordingly here. The goal is for me to get better at this, right? Because I don't want to be this, you know, this bad at it forever. And wouldn't necessarily say I'm bad at it, but definitely need a little bit more practice, as it were. So hopefully I will get better with time and as we do more of these, because I am definitely enjoying this and I would definitely like to do more. It's weird, I sort of like eyeballing it a little bit more, even though that definitely doesn't seem like the way that I should be doing it, because I could just like layer it over the body here, right, and then just sort of do the same thing. I don't know, it's sort of more fun to eyeball it for me. I know that probably won't necessarily get me the best results, but hey, you know, I suppose this is also about having fun as well. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Let's get rid of the body. A little bit of head tilt. The other thing is too, with these like still screenshots, right? The thing is that all of these scenes are from when the character is moving, right? So in these scenes, Goku Black is moving, right, with the Kamehameha. His arms are moving, his head is moving. So we're literally taking one still image from the SA and attempting to recreate it. So we got to do the best that we can here. This does look like that his body is a little bit bigger than the image, but his head, from me resizing it, is a little bit, it's like the same size. What that tells me then is that we need to make it a hair bigger to match with this Goku's body, which I think also kind of helps with eyeballing it a little bit better, because then we can get the size comparison with the head right. Alright, that looks pretty darn close to me. I think we're gonna go with that. His head looks a little bit big, but we could always just change it later. I think we're good for now on that. We'll work on the arms and the leg, or the arm rather, the other arm next. We'll do the small arm first. The issue with this one is gonna be putting it behind him, because the problem is that he has his head here, right? Which in this image is blocking it, so we can't really see it. But thankfully, the Dokkan designers here kinda did us a favor. Let me rotate this that way. Is that literally perfect? It kind of looks like it, just rotating at 90 degrees. Let's see. So we can, I think, simply match it up to the arm, or at least get pretty close. Let's zoom in here. Let's see. Yeah, that is definitely super close. I honestly think with just a little bit of turning, that would work well. I mean, I suppose it doesn't even really have to be perfect, considering that no one's even going to see it behind the head. I guess you watching this video, though, will know that I cheated a little bit, which is not good. I think that this definitely changes size, because I was going to say, this almost looks like that it's already the perfect size, unless that's how it's supposed to go. Again, that's the thing that kind of stinks about this particular image, is that obviously with this arm, right, it's covered behind the head, so normally it would look like, wait, that looks goofy. Normally it would look like this, but it definitely does not line up like that, because as you can see, that arm is way bigger. So let's try and get it to the proper size. Okay, I think for now that looks okay. We're going to do the other arm first, though, because I think that will help us get some perspective as to where to place the other arm. Do keep in mind, right, when it's like this, it's gonna look a little bit weird, simply because this image is kind of about perspective, right? His arms are behind him for this, and his head is like right in front of the shot, so of course the perspective is going to be a little bit weird when we're looking at it here. But let's go ahead and work on the other arm. It does look like this is certainly the piece that we need to use, and it almost looks like Dokkan kind of gave us a little bit of a helping hand here, because it looks like they kind of carved out-ish the area where this is supposed to go. This is obviously smaller. It doesn't fit on his arm like this, and then he has a super big arm there. Let's see. Again, I don't know what it is, but I kind of don't want to like layer it over. I almost like eyeballing it like this. That actually looks really good. If we move this piece down, yeah, so I think that little bit of a black stripe is a good way to, oh, okay, so I see. So it's just that black that we need to line it up with, and that basically gets covered. Okay, so this looks to be around the right size since we're making it a little bit bigger, I guess. That makes sense. Ooh, actually, that might be perfect. Ooh, yeah, let's make that a little bit smaller. Because I almost feel like, I mean, I guess it's not, because the goal is to recreate the asset or rebuild the asset. Title drop yet again. But I almost feel like it's cheating just to layer it over the old image. Plus then too, I suppose, like, obviously we're trying to get it as close to the original as possible. It kind of looks like they not only made it smaller, but like squished it down a little bit. But I don't know if that's necessarily how the assets in Dokkan work. That looks pretty darn close. Let's go ahead and do that and move it back onto our Goku Black here. So keep in mind how this area right here looks, right? We're going to use this black line as sort of the marker, I guess, as to how this looks. We want the gray lines as well to line up. That is like so close. It's like so close to being right there. That looks a little bit thicker though. That does look pretty good though, I gotta admit, if I do say so myself. Let's take a look, let's look in here. And I guess it doesn't have to be exact, right? Because do keep in mind with these assets, right? Rosé is moving his arms in this scene of the SA. So it doesn't necessarily, oh, I see, there's little gray hair there. Okay. That's why I keep seeing this little gray line here, because this is from this piece. It's not actually like a little gap. Okay, so let's just turn it the slightest bit, and then put it back. But yeah, no, so he's moving in this scene, right? So I suppose it kind of makes sense if it's like a little bit off and it's not necessarily exact to how this particular screenshot that we took looks. That actually almost looks perfect, and I almost did that by accident. Okay, so let's go back. Full screen that. Boy, that looks pretty good. It doesn't look exactly the same. There's a little bit more gray on that area there. Though this does look pretty good, and obviously the line matches up here. I'm gonna say that's good. I'm gonna say that's good. I like it. I like it where it is. Because, like, I don't want to touch it and then mess it up either. Okay, so here comes the hard part. This I'm definitely gonna speed up a little bit in post, because there's no way that I'm doing this and it's gonna... there's no way I'm not gonna, like... or I'm gonna talk over this whole part. Because this is just going to be a lot of meticulous resizing and stuff like that. So we're going to try and match it up to the arm. Obviously at this size, it looks super silly, but we're going to make it work. So give me a sec to resize this. Okay, that's actually already starting to look pretty good. There are a couple of little inconsistencies that I'm definitely seeing here. Also, something that you'll notice that I do a lot when I'm editing here, and I don't even really notice I did, I kind of just noticed in this video since I have the face cam. I noticed that I do tend to lean forward a lot when I'm editing. I think that's just like, even though I could just look at, you know, the screen in front of me and I don't necessarily have to do that, I like to look at like the very monotonous details of it all, I suppose. So in that way, you know, it usually kind of leads me to lean forward a little bit and to just kind of, you know, stare deeply into the camera. I usually do that, I think, when I'm like editing or focusing or whatever. It's just sort of like a tick of mine, you know. Okay, so the arm is already looking pretty good. One thing I'm noticing about the hand is that it's not where I want it to be, right? Because this section of the hand here is not, it's like sort of more down in the sleeve, right? Like this. That does look pretty good though. Yeah, that's good. The harder thing about this too is that obviously since the image is pixely, since it's just like what was posted on Twitter, it's not a perfect image either, so it is a little bit hard sometimes to perfectly see what I'm looking at here. As well too, obviously with the key blast kind of memeing on us a little bit here, it is a little bit hard to see the exact positioning of the hand, but I think we have it down for the most part. I might do some adjusting to the arm just to make it a little bit bigger, but overall I do really like how this is coming along. This is actually taking a lot longer than I thought it would. I thought we would be able to get through like all 3 of those renders that you saw I had in my folder in this one video, but that I don't think is going to be the case. That's okay though. I can definitely do another video on this because I am actually really enjoying this. This is not only like super fun for me. I'm gonna lean in. It's also like kind of therapeutic in a way. I don't know. I just really enjoy messing around with Dokkan's assets. So I guess I have that going for me. Let me do the finishing touches here to the arm, and then we'll get back to the main piece. Alright, so I think I got it. At this point, I'm sort of just messing around with getting it perfectly where I want it. One thing that I did notice that I can use to my advantage is actually Rose's thumb right here is sort of pointing down to about the same spot on the arm, or on the hand rather. It's sort of pointing to like just before the dent in Rose, or not the dent in Rose's hand, but like the dip in his thumb. I think I do like it where it is though. Again, it's not like exactly the same, but let's put the body back. That actually looks super solid. I think I actually might like it where it is. I think I'll do, what's the last piece that we have here? Is this just an empty layer with nothing? I think that was an empty layer with nothing. It was made by mistake. Let's see, we have the head, we have the arm, we have the rest of the arm. This does look, does his arm look a little chonky, or is it just me? No, I think it's okay. I might tilt his arm a little bit, but other than that, I think, no, you know what, because I'm kind of looking, it's definitely a little bit of a different size of space here, right? Like if we zoom in to Rose over here, right, this little chunk that is sort of like more compressed is definitely different than the one that I have, right? That, well, I mean, yeah, it's definitely a little bit different. This also looks super weird, but this is how the actual asset is. If we go to, where is the forearm, or the upper part, that is actually how it's layered over. Like it's literally just that on top. It just kind of merges in there because you can't really tell because the pixels, right? And then also it's moving, but that is how it looks when it's merged together. Again, because it's so pixelated, because I literally just took the screenshot off of Twitter, unfortunately it's just kind of how the cookie crumbles, I guess. But it definitely looks good. Again, it is not like exactly the same, but I don't think it necessarily has to be. And again, I know I've said it for like the 50th time now, but the image is moving, so it's okay if it looks a little bit different. I do think we have our proportions good though for the most part. I do really wonder if this is attached, because this almost does look better to me detached. I wonder if they did that on purpose, because you never actually see the other side of the arm, and then that way they can kind of sort of like place this how they want and simply, you know, detach the arm from him. I guess it doesn't really matter unless I'm just missing a piece, but again, you'll never really see it, so I suppose it doesn't matter. But I think for the most part it looks good. There's still something about his arm here that kind of doesn't look right to me, but I think for now we're going to call this one good. I would say this is 100% a success. This is really cool. What we're going to do actually, first of all, let's duplicate all of our layers. I'm still kind of wondering what this was, but I guess it doesn't really matter. Let's duplicate all of our layers, just so that we can have one finished product. Duplicate layers, and then we're going to merge all the layers, and now we have one with all the rosé, so we can just put all these pieces, make them disappear. And now that we have them all in one piece, we can put them over here. Yeah, that is pretty close. There is a little bit of size difference. We can turn them on and off here. There is a little bit of size difference, a little bit of movement distance on the hand. My hand is a little bit smaller while the body is a little bit bigger. I think their hand is in a little bit of a different position. But overall, I'm going to call that a success. I am going to post this now onto Twitter. I'm going to save this first. Save as. We're going to save this as complete. We're going to, if I can spell, complete. There we go. Just complete PSD for now. And then what we can do actually is we can change the size of the canvas to better match Rosé, because obviously at the moment he's sort of cut off with his top half, and we don't want to cut off the feet. They should still be there. Perfect. Okay, so then now it has a little bit of area between that. We can do this, and then we can do this, and now we can make a perfect PNG image. I'm going to leave a little bit of space around each of the sides, just so that if people want to do something with it, it's a little bit easier. But yeah, there we go. There is. Oh, it didn't crop the right way. Oh no, it did. Perfect. It was just because of the perspective that we were looking at it here. There we go. Perfect. So we have recreated this render successfully compared to what the original render was. Oh, it got cropped. Whoops. Well, anyway, I'm going to go post this on Twitter now. Actually, in the video, we'll just do it now. We'll save the PNG. And then tomorrow when this video goes up, you will be able to see the process on how I recreated this. We're just going to call this Rosé 12 Key Kamehameha complete PNG. Alright, so now we can go pop over to here. So I made a little note on here on what this actually is. Obviously I put the name of the card, and I put rebuilt asset Black Kamehameha 12 key super non-enraged, as well as a Imgur link for people who want to download the PNG, because Twitter compresses the images. And we're gonna hit that tweet button now. So this tweet is now live on Dokkan Assets. I'll be making a tweet as well talking about how, if you want to see, you know, how this was made, then you can check out the video you're watching right now. That's so crazy. But anyway, I'll leave a link to the tweet in the description below if you would like to use the asset for yourself. I do think that this ended up being pretty successful. Again, I didn't think that it would necessarily take this long, because it's a long video. I just looked back at the footage. But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and nonetheless, I would love to do more of these. There's so much that I can do. Literally, as you saw from Rosé alone, I had 3 different ones that I can do. Can go back and do old cards, do new cards whenever they come out, stuff like that. And again, the goal of this series is to not only rebuild some really cool assets from Dokkan, is to also improve my, you know, ability to be able to rebuild them, and not only that, just kind of some graphic design skills in general. But anyway, guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I will catch you guys in the next one. Have a good two out. Peace.